Hi, I'm Kathy Gardner and
I'm Scott Weaver.
And together we've put together a wonderful compilation of some of our favorite recipes.
Yep, recipes that have been handed down to us from our family members to things that we've discovered over the years we love and our families love as well. And we're hoping you do too.
Everything from New Year's to Christmas. Join us. Hi, welcome back to Holiday Recipes for a Family Affair, our final chapter. Here it is, yep, I guess you can tell that, December. And I've assembled for you and are going to create, as you can read in the book, the wonderful classic rum cake. My family really likes this, as do I, and I hope your family will like it too. So let's get started. The very first thing, of course, that we have to do with usually cakes is to preheat your oven. So whatever way your oven works, let's go to 325 and press start. And there we go. The next step would be to fix up your pan. I like to use a spray grease and oil. It's easier instead of Crisco, the way we used to bake. And then also another shaker, which goes on nicely. This is a softer flour than some of the heavy flours, which is nice when you're baking a cake. And this is a bundt pan. You need to have, as you can see in the book, about 12. They usually come in standard sizes. And this is the standard size bundt pan. And it's the metal one. You can get some glass ones, but I kind of like the dark metal ones. So after you put your flour in there and shake it around so it gets into all the crevices. This needs a little bit more, again, because this flour tends to be very, very light. And it's good for baking as well. But another way to get your pan prepared. So, once your pan is prepared, the next step, as you will see, is to put in your pecans or walnuts. Now, in my family, some people like pecans, some people like walnuts, so I say you're just going to have to share. So I've mixed up pecans and walnuts together, and you just sprinkle them into the bottom of the pan. And this is going to look great once the cake is done, because we're going to invert the pan and the walnuts and pecans will be on the top. So now our pan is ready and we're going to make the batter. So what you need is, again, as you can read from the book, a nice yellow cake mix. This is a Duncan Hines, there's Betty Crocker, there's whichever one you particularly like. You can make it from scratch, but usually there's so much going on at Christmas. Some things you just like to have already prepared. So once you have put the cake mix in, you also now add vanilla instant pudding. Not cook and serve. This is another easy way. This also helps to make this particular cake very, very moist. So put the instant pudding in with the cake mix that has already been put together for you by the wonderful cooks at the bakery shop. I like, before I put the other ingredients in, to just mix those up together. It makes it easier and doesn't put so much work on that poor mixer that's going to have to be mixing all this up very, very soon. So then you want to get out 4 eggs. Now this also helps them good. I like to keep them a little warm so you can get out the eggs a little bit previous to actually putting them together, and put in all 4 just easily. You don't have to separate them or do any of that. We aim for easiness in this book and in our cooking. Quick and easy, tasty, flavorful. All those things really make a good meal, a good cake, anything that you're doing. So you put the eggs in, And then you also are going to put in water, and that is a half a cup of water that we're going to put in here. You can also use milk if you'd like. It brings more nutritional value, but it's not necessary, and this recipe is nutritional enough if you're having sugar and wonderful things in Rome. So then half a cup of vegetable oil, that goes in there too. And then something very good, a nice dark rum. Now you can use a lighter rum. This makes it more flavorful, and I went all out for my cookbook and bought the expensive kind of rum, but you don't have to. You know, it's going to cook anyway. So just choose the kind of rum that you like the best. Now those are all the ingredients that are going to go into the batter. So I'm just going to pre-mix them just a wee bit before we put them into the mixer and have the mixer mix them up a wee bit. So here it goes. It's halfway mixed. I'm going to put it into the mixer, and I like to put it on stir at the beginning. So let it just stir up a little bit, and then you can, once they've got the ingredients together and got a nice little smooth paste on them, then you can start putting it faster and then a little faster. So it's going to stir for a little while. Very simple. As it goes, while it's stirring, you can put away your ingredients. My son is always saying, okay mom, once you finish with something, put it away. I don't know what your kids say, but my 27-year-old who has made this cake recipe with me many times, now mom, when you're done with it, put the tops back on, and put the tops back on, so then they're all ready to put away. And I said, okay, thank you, Reed. I appreciate all your help. And we're going to have a surprise guest on this particular show, and especially since it's our last show. And he is going to help us do something with this cake and also be able to wish you all a Merry Christmas. So it's still mixing. I like to mix it a lot because I like the eggs to get in there and be really fluffy and get everything together. I just think it makes for a lighter, better cake. So this is finished. I'm going to put this over here, and my son will be very happy that I put the top back on the almonds. Actually, what I'm going to do, the walnuts, is to put these into a plastic bag, because so many times, I don't know about your cabinet, but I put these nuts in there and then I open it 3 days later and there's nuts all over the cabinet, and that's because this has gotten out of control and come open. So I put them in a plastic bag, and this solves it. You can also put nuts in the freezer, which is a good thing. They hold very well in the freezer and they don't become stale as quickly. Well, you're doing very well. I think that we're going to check it now. So before I take it all out and have batter all over, I'm going to really put it down to stir, and just to reach it up a little bit. Yeah, it's looking very, very good. I think it's just about ready. And so it can drip a little bit there, and I'm going to get the spatula so we can just get the outer edges here. Oh yes, this is looking very, very good, very, very nummy. I think it's good enough. So now, after this has been beaten enough, abusive to the batter. Don't need to be abusive to the batter with the beating. That's fun to say, batter with the beating. That goes for my voiceover career. So we're just going to give it a final little turn here, and now we're going to pour it carefully over the nuts and try and do it very evenly. So, here we go. And there goes the batter. And the batter now is going over as evenly as we can, the nuts. And this nice yellow cake is going to marry with the lovely chopped pecans and walnuts. And then we're going to bake it in the oven for an hour. Yep, it takes an hour, but that's, I don't know, maybe that has something to do with the rum or not. But that's how long it's going to take for the cake to cook. So while it is cooking, I am going to take a little break. Then I'll come back and show you how to make the glaze. The glaze is something really, really special. And it is made with sugar and a little bit of water and rum, could you guess? So we're going to have that glaze for you when we come back, and we're going to put this in the oven for 1 hour to bake, and then we'll come and test it after maybe 55 minutes. Just everybody oven is different. I always have a different oven. I don't know about your oven. Mine, I know that I have to give it at least 5 minutes, no matter what the recipe says, because it has a tendency to get hot. So we're going to come back. I'm going to check it and prick it and see how it's doing. I'm getting every last little bit of batter out of here because I like that. Okay, my hands are clean, and there it goes. Okay. This is looking good. What I'm going to do is just clean up this side. So and get this off. Okay, looks good. And there it is, looking pretty good. Now it's time for it to go into the oven. So there it is, 325 degrees. We're going to put it in the middle rack. We'll put the bundt pan right in the middle, and now I'm standing in the middle, and we will put on the timer for 55 minutes and start it. I know it's supposed to be an hour, but I'm going to check on my oven in 55 minutes. See you later. And now we have the rum cake out of the oven, and we're letting it cool for 10 minutes. And as promised, we have our special guest. Well, you'll probably recognize him. Hello, Scott.
Hi, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, the other half of Holiday Recipes for a Family Affair. And if you've been going along with us, you'll see how wonderfully he's presented, how he does his recipes. And here it is, our final chapter. And so for our final chapter, Scott is going to join me in glazing this fabulous rum cake.
And rum.
Yes, it smells good. So what you do is get your serving plate and then just put it on top here. Put it over here. Sometimes they can be a little recalcitrant. So if you push them a little bit with a spoon, make a little noise, there you go. There is your beautiful rum cake. So what you have to do now, and it will cool a little bit more, is to make the glaze. So, Scott, melting butter sometimes can be a little hassle. If you put a whole cube of butter in here, which is what we need. We need a half a cup of butter. And so what I like to do is just to slice it like this.
Tricky.
Trick. Here is Cappy's little trick about melting butter faster. So make them in slices, and then like this, they're in little cubes, and then you just put it in here and melt the butter. So we're going to melt the butter on the stove, and when the butter is melted, we are going to put in, as you can see in your recipe, we'll put in a quarter of a cup of water and then a cup of sugar, and then we're going to stir it when it boils for about 5 minutes. Now here is a very important thing about making this glaze. The rum comes in at the end, but when I first made this recipe, I put the rum in while the rest of the ingredients were on the stove in the pan, and guess what happened?
Flambe.
And we don't want a flambe glace.
Oh, come on.
No, I know, it's kind of fun for Christmas, but...
yeah, but you don't want any singed.
Yes, right, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So you don't want any singeing.
No.
So a very important point after the ingredients have boiled for a while is to take it off the stove and then put in the rum. And it'll still sizzle and bubble a little bit, but it will be better.
But no fire.
But no fire. So our butter is still melting.
So what do we do when we get done?
So what we can start doing is you have to prick the top of the cake, the inside. Here, you can go on that side. I'll take this side.
And how many? Just all the way around?
Yeah, just prick some holes in the side and in the top here. This little piece fell off. That will make a really good juicy piece. And in the top too, where the nuts are, because it can go into there as well. And then you
it looks like you need to be really careful on the top where the nuts are, because you got to kind of work your way in.
Yes.
Because you'll get big holes.
Big holes, right.
Okay.
So the more that you prick it, and without it's losing the shape, the more that it's going to absorb all of the wonderfulness of the glaze. So our butter is almost melted. Still coming along here. Are you pricking that top there?
I am pricking the top all the way around, being careful of the nuts, because those nuts, man, they're on there good. This is going to be a lovely cake.
So we've melted the butter, and now what we're going to do is put in the water, quarter of a cup of the water, and then a whole cup of sugar, which helps the glaze. Sweet, but that's what it takes, because you know the cake is actually not that sweet. And so then we're going to put this on the stove and have it boil and constantly stir it for 5 minutes. So I'll be back to you in a bit when it's all ready to put the rum in. So we're just about at 5 minutes.
Smells yummy.
We're going to take it off the stove before we add the rum. Otherwise, as you said, we are going to have a little flambe. So
we don't want that.
No, we do not. So, but we do want this, which is a half a cup of rum. And so we'll just fill this all the way up to the top for a half a cup. And we're going to have to do this slowly. As you see the way it bubbles.
You can hear it.
Yep.
You know, it looks like you're almost to a caramel stage too.
Yeah.
A little below, huh?
Uh-huh.
Yum.
Because it boiled for 5 minutes, so it's almost candy.
And on what heat did you have it on?
I had it medium high. That particular burner, it goes very, very high and very hot.
Oh, okay.
So it's boiling.
So medium heat is really.
Yeah, medium heat. As long as it keeps a constant boil.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to go back and forth and having the constant change the heat.
And you see how then it slows down all those bubbles, and you'll see when you're making this yourself. And you will read again in that recipe to make sure you remove it from the fire.
And you will read that recipe, and you will make sure you have that book sitting next to you.
That's right. Well, it helps to go along with the book as you see the way it's being done.
Absolutely.
You know, and then you have it as a reference also. He says, well, what did she say about taking that saucepan off?
Exactly. And the thing I always say about cooking is recipes are great because they're teachers. Mm-hmm. They help you learn how to be a cook. But once you're comfortable in the kitchen,
Man, play around.
Oh yeah, that's the most
Good
fun.
Lord.
You got to risk a little bit,
Yeah,
you
well,
know?
take a risk on your taste buds now and then.
Yeah. So now we're going to drizzle.
Ooh,
Can you smell that?
I can. Oh my Lord. Look at that.
So we are drizzling this wonderful warm glaze over the yellow cake.
And it just looks
The
so
yellow
shiny.
rum
And look
cake.
at how it makes the pecans and walnuts look.
Oh yeah. There it is, coming around.
My mouth is watering.
And make sure you get it there in the middle. And
Anybody
on all
interested
the
in swimming?
sides.
There's a pool.
Yes. And what we're going to do with that pool of glaze is to take a spoon, and we can also take a
Pastry brush.
pastry brush and then just bring that all up the sides
Oh, and so in
with
here
the
you
brush
just-
and get some in there.
and do it around again.
Now when my son makes this cake with me, and he very nicely got me last Christmas a baster.
Oh,
And
check that
so
out.
it's fun to get a lot of this, and then you can baste the glaze around the whole cake. So this is our rum cake, and thank you for joining us, and keep basting away. And if you missed the first chapters, look at all of the recipes that Scott and I have made all the way from New Year's to Christmas and all the holidays. So many of them. There's St. Patrick's Day that we covered, and Valentine's Day, and the 4th of July. Oh, Scott, if you haven't seen his dessert for the 4th of July, that's really something. Why don't you tell them what about that
It's really
fabulous?
good. It's a red, white, and blue strawberry shortcake with blueberries, making the blue, of course. But you'll have to check it out. It's delicious. Delicious.
Thank you all for joining us. You can get the print copy of our book, Holiday Recipes for a Family Affair, at Amazon or on my website at Kathy Garver, Kathy, Garver.com. And that's the end. That's what the up is telling us.
It's over.
We've got great music. Happy holidays, no matter what one you spend it or whatever you spend it with. We're all family, whoever your family is. So enjoy.
Enjoy.